wait.
That was easy.
Love it. That was good. Terresa Amidei is our special guest today, and she is a public middle school activities director. So, thank you so much, Terresa, for being a part of this, for being with us today, and making time out of your busy schedule to share your story and experience with us.
Of course. It's my pleasure.
So the first question is, and I know our guests are going to want to learn this, is your story. How did you get into teaching? How did all this happen?
All right. Well, okay. Are you guys all sitting down? Here's the thing. I grew up in North Pole, Alaska. I'm not even making that up. Like if I could tilt my camera up there, you can see my diploma from North Pole High School. Woo woo, go Patriots. I will tell you this, that living in North Pole, Alaska is very harsh. Yes, I know Santa. Don't get on the bad list. I'm just saying.
Okay.
There's room for everyone on the good list. But it is a harsh climate, and there's a lot of things that are hard living. Like I spent one summer in a tent. That was fun. The building season is just the summer, so that's like 3 months. It's just really hard. The climate is hard. The lack of light is hard. There's a lot of seasonal depression. There's a lot of issues. And plus it's really cold. And you're isolated. So I actually felt like the pandemic, living and surviving that kind of growing up time really prepared me for this closed down pandemic living. Like I'm getting some beans when everyone was like, apocalyptic shopping. I'm like, oh yeah, beans, dried milk. Oh, I got this. And my husband's like, what is? I'm like, honey, I got this. Okay, we're gonna survive this because I know what to make.
Right.
And that isolation from being like what they used to call cabin fever, of being stuck inside when it was cold, really kind of prepared my mind for being stuck inside because we didn't want to get COVID. So for me, I was like, oh, that's what all that training was for, just this time period. Who knew that 2020 would be my time to shine?
That's amazing. So I've been to Alaska. I went to Anchorage and got out of the plane and saw a huge polar bear, stuffed, thankfully, so it didn't eat me. Polar bear, and then I don't know what the big one is. The other one, the grizzly bear, black bear, something.
Yeah, grizzly.
15 feet tall, face open, mouth things out, and claws ready to like.
Yeah.
Hi, Alaska. You are a tough place.
Yeah, so, we call that Tuesday.
That's Tuesday. But what's amazing is I did hear that a lot of the students there were struggling with that feeling of isolation and depression because I think a couple months out of the year it's completely dark.
Yeah, it's very dark.
Months it's light. Yeah, so that's the time when they said they were really the most depressed.
Yeah, well, growing up with it, you don't realize it's different until you go somewhere else and you're like, oh, that's what they mean. Like in the summertime, the summer months, from like let's say Memorial Day to Labor Day, it's sunshine all the time. Like in the solstice, we'll start what's called a midnight sun game, and the game starts. It's an outdoor baseball game. Starts at 10 p.m. No artificial lights, and people playing baseball all night. Painting your house, growing ginormous big cabbages that are like Cinderella pumpkin carriage size. And that's the summer. And then the winter is the opposite. It just slowly goes into darkness. Halloween is already like frozen. Your carved jack-o'-lanterns are frozen. And it's just, snows on the ground, and it's all the way through April where it's just kind of, teeters down to the winter months where it's dusky. So dark is dusky because everything reflects off the snow. But it's always kind of dark and dismal in a way. But I never picked up on that until I got out of a place where I'm like, oh, a whole actual light and day cycle every day. Oh, I get it. So it was a challenge growing up like that.
And that, how did you get through that challenge? And was there something where you maybe even felt a little down or not yourself? Or I don't know if you ever went through any anxiety or depression, or were there things that you did that helped you that our listeners can say, well, wow, that helped her. Maybe it'll help me too.
Well, I think it's you have to have your own kind of set of resilience strategies. For me, one of them is this: being grateful. Being grateful for what you do have, not focusing on what you don't have. And then for me personally, I had to tap into my friendship bank. You know, you got to have a few solid ones that you can just always count on to kind of lift up your spirits when you're feeling. And it's kind of that self-reflective part where you got to be aware of where you're at and what you need. And like I've been telling my kids coming through as we're kind of, I mean, we're still in the pandemic, even though everyone is kind of acting like we're out of it. We're actually in it still. Like maybe it's the middle, I don't know. Maybe it's the first third, I can't tell you. But the conditions are still very real, especially with the variants that we have going on. And I have told my classes now when I'm teaching middle school, the most important thing is for you to have emotional health, mental health, and physical health. If you are winning those things, if you're like, yay, all those three things are great, then you're actually winning this school year. Like, honestly, I mean, I know I'm a teacher and I care about grades and all those kind of things and achievement, but honestly, if you have to sacrifice something about your mental health to get that grade, it's not worth it to me.
Right.
And that's my
Totally
message
agree.
to kids. Like,
100%.
don't. It's just not worth it. Like mental health, check. Emotional health, check. Physical health, okay, check. Then let's learn some stuff.
Right. Absolutely. And it's so beautiful to hear you say that, Teresa, because so many other teachers like you feel the exact same way, and the superintendents, and I mean, just everywhere within the school system, the whole community, they feel the same way that you do. And I love that everyone in your work environment puts their mental health of the students number one, and their social emotional needs before their academic. Because if they're mentally sound and emotionally sound, they're going to be academically rock stars. And if they're, but on the converse, the flip side, if they're struggling mentally and emotionally, their grades are going to suffer. And I know because I went through that personally. So
well, and I'll tell you what, Mike, like some people forget, I feel a lot of pressure from the overall, you know, media, the saying, oh, we got to make up for loss. There's like so much loss, like, you know,
pressure,
and I'm like,
stress.
Bro,
right.
Whoa, like you're adding so much stress to it. Like, so here's some things that I do with my kids to kind of start the class. Like we try to be mindful. And so like I have this kind of thing where I'm like, breathe in.
Exercises. Yeah.
Breathe out. You know, and kind of like
do that again for our audience. So here.
Okay, so we go. Ready, everybody? Like ground your feet, and then we're gonna go. Breathe in, hold it, breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe in some positivity, breathe out. And, you know, we're wearing masks.
I love that.
That's one thing we try.
I need to get, where do you get that? On Amazon? I need to
buy
it.
You know what? This would be back in the day when I had to teach science, and I got it because it was cool and fun. And like, I have a lot of toys and things because at the end of the day, they're all still children, right?
Those
we
visual.
Need to play and connect. Another thing that I did that I was fortunate enough that I got to teach summer school, which I know sounds weird, but it kind of get me back into the flow of things. And I realized, ooh, kids are still a little suffering because a lot of them were completely outside of contact from people for like 17 months. And the thing about middle school, like they don't have jobs, they can't drive. So like I know during the pandemic when I was really feeling like, oof, I could get in my car and I could just go around the block, or I could go, you know, safely go to the store or something like that. But that's not a resource that the kids can have. Like they were really stuck at this particular level. So I, over the summer, I made some tubes. Let me see if I can reach one.
I love the visual aids, Teresa. I love it.
Well, I made these. So they're just bottles, and I put like little Orbeez with like gel in it. And
what's it? What are those? Gumballs?
Okay. No, they're like little, they're the water beads, and then you put them in the water and some glitter.
Right.
And then I got,
now how does that help them? How does that help the kiddos?
Because they just like, they focus on it. And then I got this one where it's a little tactile, and they just kind of,
right.
rub it. I got some of these. These are like acupuncture rings. And so you can just, like that.
Right.
I just have whatever it takes, right? Whatever it takes.
That's incredible. So the whole goal of all these things you're doing is to reduce their stress, right? Get them
Yes.
centered again. How
Yeah.
long do you do that breathing technique with them? Is it a minute or 2 minutes
Oh,
for
not
listeners
that.
if they're
He doesn't
wondering?
even, you know what? I kind of take the pulse of the kids when they're coming in, and you can
Huh?
just tell when they need it and when they don't.
Right?
And usually it's not even more than 30 seconds. It's just
30
like,
seconds.
get us in, refocus us, here's what we're here. And then if they need more, it might be a minute. Maybe it's 2 minutes. Maybe
And
I'm
you
like, I have
notice,
to talk them through it.
and you notice their stress level reduces. So
Yeah, I
anyone
have to pay
who's listening,
attention. Yeah,
right?
pay attention.
Get it?
And then the station, I just introduced it from day one. Like, okay, look, you got to keep your mask on, but here's the things that you can do when you're in my class. This, I call it just the self-care station. So SEL care station. And so they can just come and get one of these, it's little fidget things, soothing things
Mhm.
that they can just monitor so that they know, okay, well, at least while they're here, okay, I'm feeling this way. I'm going to go get one of those things and it's going to help. And I got like stuffed animals and just everything with different textures, so that kids can kind of just regulate that and have an outlet so that they're not just like, ah.
Right, exactly.
And then I'm like, I get this. And then, so then they'll be like this and they'll be taking notes. So I'll be like, okay, and I'll do this.
Right, right. No, I got it. It's comfort. It's almost like a blankie to
Yeah,
a
exactly.
little kid, and they're holding and focusing instead of all the other thoughts and anything that's running around. It's that little focus
Yeah,
piece.
and then I got these cards, and so like when we
Let's
need
do the
something
card.
that's, I know, well,
How do
it's
we?
like it's that mindfulness, right? So like if they need like, okay, from your chair, you're gonna sit here and we're gonna do this stretch.
Energy.
Yeah, like if you need to relax or if you need to be like, ooh, you guys, I'm like, ooh, what's with the, ooh, you need to pump it up. Like I'll pick the one that they need and then they'll do that. And the cool thing about this is with my student leaders, they're simple enough. They could take these cards and they could lead a little group. And that's,
Love that. Now, if someone's watching that's a teacher, where would they get that? Is there a resource, or
um,
can they reach out to you? Can we? How?
yeah,
Hey, I love everything Teresa's doing. Where does she get all this stuff?
yeah, I got this one. I'm going to spell it wrong, I'm sure, but it's called Naroga Institute, and it's all about mindfulness. I mean, I'm not getting any plug for that one. Just
How do
saying.
we spell that? How do we spell it? I'll float it across. How do we?
It is.
I mean, ish, even if it's close.
Yeah, no. Here's exactly Niroga.
Niroga, Nirogi.
Oh, Naroga, I think, and
Niroga.
it'll have this, and like you'll have one of these, like you can breathe until you don't hear the chime.
Can you hold it up a little? Oh, there. Oh, nice. Like a yoga class.
Yeah,
In the center.
well, yeah, just it's a way to refocus your attention.
Perfect.
So, and it's just stuff that we've collected over time. Like my room, doesn't smell like middle school. It smells like vanilla.
Oh, candles. You have scented candles?
Yeah. Well,
Oh, holy.
nothing that burns, but yes. And then like plants and just trying to have a space that's like, okay, you want to be here and it's a safe spot for you to be.
It's so interesting. You're hitting on all these really helpful points. Like even when you said plants, there's
Mhm.
been research that has shown that when there are plants in a classroom or a dorm room or an apartment or a house, indoor plants calm people down, and it gives them something to nurture and take care of. It's a living little creature, almost like a dog or a cat, but it just doesn't bark. It does it, but it's there. So that's
Right.
so cool that you're doing all this, all of the tactile elements, all of the calming elements, the plants, the smell. You're supporting them with all of their senses.
Well, I'm trying. And you know what, Mike? If you're listeners, I want to just give them one thing that is completely free and one thing that we tried. And that would be like, we'll send them off with a lot of shine. You ready? So
Ready.
this one, some people think it's a tattoo, but actually what it is a Sharpie. Watch, I'll recreate it.
What?
Okay, this is the thing that my kids came up with. So we are actually on the migratory path of the monarch butterfly at this school. So we have a mural that has butterflies on it, right? So we do this thing, and I mean, this one's really simple. I go, like
Nice.
that.
Cool
Right.
tattoo. Love it.
Right. So what we do with this is if we see this, we've promoted this with the kids, and we call it the butterfly project. Okay. And if I see you, like if I see that you have this butterfly, I would say, oh, Mike, I see that you have a butterfly. I'm a trusted adult. Do you want me to get you some help, or are you just supporting someone else? And then what it does is then it opens up that conversation, because kids are not going to send this. They're not going to do this. Watch. I'll write the same thing. Here we go. They're not going to tell me this. They're not going to tell me this.
Yeah, right. No, it's all invisible. They don't, right. There's shame
They're-
attached to it, a stigma.
Yeah, so
Right.
they're not going to tell me they're suffering, but they're going to act in ways that maybe. So this is their way to say, hey, boom. And we are telling the kids, look for this. So when you see other kids or adults with this symbol, then when we say, hey, we know what to do. And then, like my kids who are student leaders are like, oh, if you see somebody with this, let me know, and I'll see if I can get them some help. And then we've actually been able to connect them with, a counselor to help from any kind of self-harm. And it just, like you said, it takes away the stigma. And even with let's see, watch. I'm going to rename myself even on here,
Okay.
on my Zoom. And we did it like this. I just did 8I8, and that was my butterfly.
Oh, very cool.
So even if you were
Oh,
distant,
nice.
I know. Well, and some kids are way fancier. Like they were like 3, reverse 3, like, parentheses, bracket, and they had really fancy butterflies, which was great because then the kid always had an out to say, oh no, I'm just supporting. But then I'm like, ooh, Mike said it was supporting. And then I would just kind of keep an eye on it, like, hey, Mike, oh good, are you still supporting, or did you need to get some help?
Right.
And then I can just get them the help without anything.
Love it. I love that, the butterfly project, because another school, they have something called their blue couch. It's just blue. If anyone needs any support, there's an adult sitting there, either a counselor or someone that's going to help, and they're just chilling, right? And then if a kid is having lunch or whatever and they want help, they just sit in the blue couch. They just know. But so that's the butterfly is the blue couch, and it's mobile, and it's moving around.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, it just prompts the conversation. And it's really great because my kids we formed a Safe Promise Club, which is all about preventing school violence. And it stands for Students Against Violence Everywhere. And we presented this idea. And so there was a little kid in Georgia who was like, the accent sounded a little like this to me. Oh, Miss Amidei, I like that a lot. We're going to do that. And I was like, that's so great, because if it helped, I know at least one kid that it helped here. So it's worth it, right? And I can only assume one kid got helped in Georgia somewhere.
Absolutely.
So
I love that.
Completely free, people. Completely free. You'd be like, yep, I'm a trusted adult. Can I get you any help? I'd be happy to do so.
Teresa, thank you so much for being with us. You are a rock star. I love everything you just shared with us. Amazing. And if anyone wants to get a hold of you, would that be good? Do you have like a Twitter page?
Yeah. Well, on my, oh gosh, I should have made it.
Or LinkedIn, or how would a teacher or someone that wanted to?
Well, why don't I give you my email? Is just my name with a dot in between at desertsands.us.
Perfect.
Happy to help you with any questions. We are on, like if you go on Instagram, then you can send it to everywhere else. So ours is DRASB2. DRASB2.
Perfect. Teresa, thank you so much. You're amazing.
Welcome.
Thanks for sharing everything with us.
Welcome. Love it. Everybody stay safe out there.